Welcome to Arcane the Brewcast. I'm Jamie, your Arcane brewer.
And I'm Jake, your Arcane engineer.
Thank you to Mom Rock for the use of their song Conversation in the intro.
And thank you to all 115 of our current subscribers. For passing the 100 subscriber milestone, YouTube has seen fit to send us another plaque. This time not made of cardboard, but hard resin. And beautifully painted. Thank you, YouTube, and thank you to all of our subscribers. We could not have done it without you.
Guys, it's still too hot. And I know I've been on this for the last few weeks, but there's a lot of great citrusy drinks for staying cool. This time we're going to be focusing on another one, the Shandy. Shandy usually uses lemonade, but since we made that Skeeter Bee earlier, we're going to be focusing on limeade. And we're going to be pairing it with a couple of other cooling flavors, cucumber and mint. We're going to be making a cucumber, mint, lime Shandy. Shandy is a catch-all term for a mixture of beer and fruit juice or soda, most commonly lemonade. It may have originated in 19th century United Kingdom as a shortening of shandygaff, which was a mixture of beer and ginger ale. Many may be more familiar with the German term, Radler, which usually mixes beer with lemonade but may use Sprite or Fanta instead. The foundation of the drink is simply to take a light beer, make it sweet and citrusy. We're making a wheat beer, so we want white wheat, Pilsner malt, and a little bit of flaked wheat. First we have to mill the white wheat and Pilsner malt. Then we mix in the flaked wheat, which doesn't need milling, and the rice hulls. Always use plentiful rice hulls. I've heated up my strike water on the stove and transfer it into the mash tun first to get the whole thing hot. You want the strike temperature of your mash water to be about 15 degrees or so Fahrenheit above your desired mash temp, since the water will lose some heat once the grain is added. After a full hour, we mash out and sparge the grain with a little additional hot water. As that water trickles through our grain bed, I weigh the hops. We're using Hersbrucker hops, a German noble hop with very low alpha acids. Alpha acids are released by the hops while they boil, and the longer the hops spend in the boil, the more alpha acids are produced. Alpha acids contribute bitterness, which a shandy should be pretty low in. We're using only a very small amount for bitterness, and then a much bigger portion near the end of the boil for our aroma hops. Soon, we've drained all the liquid from the mash and raised it to a boil. After adding the bittering hops, we set the timer to an hour, then come back at 15 minutes before flame out to add the aroma hops. It's a good idea to put your wort chiller in the boil kettle for the last few minutes or so, to let the heat sterilize it. Before the end of the boil, you can also add a little yeast nutrient. With the boil over, I chill the wort and transfer it into a carboy. Transferring in this way aerates the wort, providing oxygen the yeast will need during fermentation. This time I'm using Safale WB06, a yeast for wheat beer that will give us the mild clove and banana we associate with the Hefeweizen. Fermentation picks up pretty quickly and goes for a week or so before it slows down. We'll check back in when it's time to keg it to see how it turned out. In order to turn our Hefeweizen into a shandy, we're going to back sweeten it with a syrup. Specifically, we're making oleosaccharum. Oleosaccharum means oil sugar, and it's a way of extracting aromatic terpenes from fruit. A fruit rich in essential oils, in our case lime peels, is packed in sugar. The fruit is muddled or agitated to rupture vacuoles inside the cells of the peel, allowing capillary action to pull the released oils into the sugar. This also pulls a small amount of water out of the fruit, which the oily sugar mostly dissolves into. We're making our oleosaccharum with lime, cucumber, and mint. Let's start with picking some mint. I've been growing spearmint in front of my porch, and today it pays off. I pick a generous portion of mint and bring it inside to strip all the leaves off the stems. You can do it by hand quite easily, but I really like this herb stripper doodad. Then I start slicing up our limes. I'm going to try and remove as much juice as possible ahead of time so the syrup doesn't get too much water. It's the outside of the lime peel that has the oils we want, but I just toss the whole thing in. Be cautioned that if you expose and immerse too much of the pith, which is just below the peel, it may transfer more bitterness than you like into your syrup. I shake up the jar to fully immerse the limes and sugar, then I roughly chop the mint and toss it in too. We remove the peel from the cucumber because it has a lot of bitterness I'm not really looking for, and then we chop it into slices, toss them into the jar, and immerse them in sugar too. Actually, let's make that 2 cucumbers. We have the space and I want that mild flavor to come through.
That's how the samurais do it.
We shake it up some more and pack the jar pretty tight with sugar. Then I set it aside. By the morning, the sugar has completely liquefied. I pour the syrup off, leaving the fruit behind, and combine a few other jars I made on the side. Then I take my finished jar of oleosaccharum and put it in the freezer to preserve it. Oleosaccharum only lasts a couple weeks in the fridge. Once the beer is done fermenting, we put it in the cooler to cold crash. This will cause all the particulate and debris to settle to the bottom of the carboy. After 24 hours, the beer is ready to be kegged. We use our auto siphon to transfer out of our carboy and into the keg. We're blending our oleosaccharum with green spirulina powder to turn it green. We add a little, stir it up, and taste it to make sure the flavor isn't overpowering. Didn't fuck up the flavor.
Is it perceivable at all?
No, not really. There was like some of the powder actually in the spoon, so I got a lot of it.
Gritty?
No. There's like a very mild algae flavor. It's like the smell of walking through a pet store a little bit. I think this is fine. I don't think it's too much. And I think the algae flavor is actually not inappropriate for this weird health food juice angle we're taking here. I think we're good to go. If that cucumber lime mint oleosaccharum sounds delicious, you should make some at home. You don't have to make a whole beer just to make a shandy. You can buy some beer and then mix some of the syrup with it. Or, if you like the sound of the syrup but don't really want to make a shandy, you could make a cocktail with it. We have here our cucumber lime mint gimlet, which we made from the oleosaccharum. Very green. Oh, that's delicious. That's really good. This is with Flora Gin from Tamworth Distillery. Definitely recommend trying them when you go to the Jamboree this September. That's all for this episode. Thank you to Mom Rock for the use of their song Conversation.
Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. If you have an idea for a future episode, leave it in the comments. We read every single one. And I'm sure you'll see it in a future episode.
Thank you for watching.
Cheers.